This video is to show you how to remove the front fender from your 1100 Honda Ace. It's really a simple process, so let me show you how to do it. The first thing we want to do is remove this guide that the speedometer cable goes through. It's just made out of rubber, so grab a hold of it and we'll twist it around and it'll pull out. It's just got a little rubber stopper that holds it in place. Okay, go ahead and remove these 4 screws that are underneath the fork right here. There's one here, one back here, and then 2 on the other side. Go ahead and remove those, and then we're ready to pull the fender out. Next, go ahead and pull this retainer out from behind the fender there. It'll be a little easier to pull the fender off with that out. Next, we want to push the fender down and then pull out. Now, these little nubbins will get caught in between the fork and the fender, so what I do, I just kind of pry that a little bit at a time on both sides. You may want to tip the fenders this way and pull it out. And you can, like I say, you can pry one side or the other, and then you'll get those little nubbins past the fork legs. Then it should just pull right out. Let's go ahead and mount the front fender now, your new bobber fender. Okay, in your kit you should have the fender, the 2 reinforcement straps. These go under the fender to reinforce the aluminum. You have the 4 mounting screws, the flange bolts. Those will mount to the forks. And then you have the screws, nuts, and washers here that will fasten these brackets to the fender. Let me show you how this works. If you'll notice, I've mounted the brackets to the fender. To do that, we use a good quality Phillips screwdriver, either a 7/16 or an 11 millimeter box end open end wrench. And then these are 2 things left over. There's a nylock nut and a washer. We give you extras in case you drop one, so don't panic. You'll have a couple of those left over. Okay, let me show you how this mounts to the fender. Okay, if you'll notice on this side, these are the screws, and they have the rubber washers underneath the screw when you get them. So a screw with the rubber washer underneath. That's to protect your paint. And then on this side, we have, this is really important, we have the metal strap. It goes against the fender. And then on top of this strap, we have the bracket. And to fasten that together, we use the screw through the hole, and then we use the nylock nut and the washer underneath. Just like that. See if we can get a kind of a close-up of that. So a nylock nut and washer under, and then the strap against the fender with the bracket on top of the strap. Now go ahead and do that and leave these just a little bit loose. You can snug them up, but just a teeny bit loose because we want to be able to adjust this when we get it on the bike. If you'll notice, I've mounted the fender, and on this bracket, I'll show you one that isn't painted. It has 2 sets of mounting holes. It's the top one and the bottom one. I use the top one. It puts the fender a little lower. If your tire's oversized, you'll probably want to raise it up and use the bottom holes, but I use this one, and I think most of the standard size tires should work on that one. You want a little gap in there, you know, run your finger in there, you feel it. Whatever you do, you don't want to get that too close to the tire. But if it's too high, it won't look very good. So anyway, what you do, there's a bracket that holds this brake hose on. Now it's really important you put that on the back side of this bracket. So the bracket itself goes against the fork, and then that the little bracket that holds the brake hose goes on that side of the bracket, on this side of the bracket, not this side. And then these are the 10 millimeter, the 6 millimeter flange nuts or screws. And I'll show you how to tighten this up. Okay, it's really simple. You just put your wrench underneath. Probably want to put the open end wrench under there, and then just tighten them up. So those one at a time. And then if the fender's a little skinny wampus, you can twist it, but I bet you $1,000,000 it'll come out pretty darn close. So maybe want to snug those up first. And then what we'll do is we'll use the box end wrench on these 6 millimeter flange screws here. This is a 10 millimeter box end wrench. So go ahead and snug those up. Now be careful, these are only 6 millimeter small screws, so you don't get too carried away. You may break one off or strip it out, but you definitely want to snug them up. So get a good feel on those and tighten them up good, but don't get too carried away. You're just going into aluminum. So snug those up too, and then the fender should fit the wheel really nice. If it doesn't, you can twist it a little bit as you tighten something. So anyway, there you have it. Go back and double check too. Make sure these are tight and these are snugged up good, because you don't want this fender to loosen up and come off or get rattly on there. So make sure it's nice and snug and that fits really well. There you have it. Oh, one last thing too. This the speedometer cable, this one right here. What I did is I bent that wire thing out just a little bit, the wire keeper. I bent it out this way a little bit so it kind of holds that speedometer cable away from the fender.